This has not happened overnight, right? This has happened by years and years of making those mistakes and then ensuring that the next time you do it, you don't make those. And that's how we have evolved to what we are today. And we are still evolving. Try and custom make products for those markets. Like I said, we are not here to sell a product. We are here to solve a problem, right? So we will ensure what is the problem. Let's say we are in America, we'll see what are common problems that the Americans have, and then custom make products for their usage, for their personality or type, body type, and see how what gives you results there. So we'll custom make a product only for the America, and then we'll send it to you. Because Essenzaa also does the manufacturing, we have that flexibility to do as many SKUs as required by the brand. Don't falsely create a problem and try and solve it, right? Because if you keep on overthinking and create a problem, you'll not create a product which is sustainable in the long run. That you have your support systems with you, people who help you, motivate you, people who guide you. If you have access, find a reliable mentor, right? Because a mentor will take you long and far and very fast, right? So you need a good mentor in your life.
Hi everyone, this is Vivek Shrivastava. Welcome to my channel. And today we have for you a special guest episode. We have Dr. Kunal Shah with us. And Kunal is the founder of Essenzaa Nutrition, which is a leader in the organic and natural supplement space. And it is present in 23 countries and has over 5 million customers. Kunal is also an inventor, and he has done cutting-edge research in the combination of Ayurveda and probiotics, what he calls Proyurveda, and he has multiple patents for that in multiple countries. He also runs a world-class facility that is globally certified and is the leader in this organic and natural supplement space. Beyond business, Kunal is also a mentor and investor and a researcher in the gut health and the gut-brain axis. So that's amazing. Thanks, Kunal, for joining us. And thank you for being here. I'm sure we'll have a very informative episode and our viewers will get a lot of information.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here. And it's always great to have one-to-one conversations with like-minded people.
Wonderful. This is especially interesting for me because long back, I was in the US 30 years ago. I went there for college and I was taking protein powders back when nobody here even knew such a thing existed. So I was always had it in my back of mind that I'd also start a supplement company, because I was into weightlifting, bodybuilding, and taking supplements. But then the reason I never got into it because I was studying electronics engineering and I didn't know anything about food and all that sort of thing or supplements, like actually how to manufacture it. So how did it start for you? Were you also a lot into supplements?
I was not much into supplements, right? And we are not a supplement company.
Oh,
right. We are in the supplement space,
okay.
Right? Proteins is a very small portion of what we do, right? But the idea is whatever we do, it's not to serve a specific audience or it's not to serve a specific problem. It's for a larger cause, right? The whole idea of Essenzaa started when we wanted to do something to improve the quality of life of people, right? The whole idea was to improve the quality of supplements available, right? Also, majorly, when we started out, we were an Ayurveda company and not a supplement company.
Okay.
Right? So that's how Proyurveda, as you introduced, came into picture, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring back, Ayurveda has always been there. It is 5,000 years old, right? And it has always been a part of our lives, some way or the other.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially if you have your grandparents living with you, you have seen a larger portion of Ayurveda, which is what happened with us also, right? And we were very closely affiliated with herbs and herbal ingredients and getting nutrition through the natural way, right? So we've always been close to that field. And we wanted to do something, so that has subconsciously always been a part of our life, right? Even before we started the company, even before we thought of doing some research in this field, Ayurveda has always been an integral part of our livelihood, of our living, of our lifestyle, per se, right? So when I grew up and then I started seeing modern science, right? So I started seeing how modern science, to some extent, has extracts of Ayurveda involved into them. Not literally, but you see, suppose you pick saffron, for example. Saffron has an active component called crocin, right? Which is where certain pharmaceutical drugs have been mimicking those to solve certain problems in your body, right? So similarly, a lot of pharmaceutical drug is inspired from Ayurveda itself, right? So as much as we go forward and then we say Ayurveda is very traditional, very backward, very slow, right? But a lot of your modern science is based on your Ayurvedic beliefs, right?
Absolutely.
So wanted to do something in this field, right? Idea was not to start a company. Idea was to do something innovative in this field, something which bridges the gap between modern science and Ayurveda, right? And probiotics have been a very integral part of both. Right? You go to a doctor, if he prescribes you antibiotics, they will give you prebiotics in most of the cases along, right? It is on the pen of the paper. A lot of doctors prescribe it. It's very well researched since the last about 100 years or so, right? So in terms of probiotics, it is very new, but it's a very fast growing part of your modern science. Right, so we wanted to bridge the gap between Ayurveda and probiotics also very integral part of Ayurveda, right? Because if you see your fermented foods, your honey, your curd, your buttermilk, all of that is very, very rich in probiotics, which is a very integral part of our daily food system here in India, right? And if you see Ayurvedic doctors back then, they not only focused on Ayurveda as a medicine, they focused on Ayurveda as a lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. So when you talk about Ayurveda, Ayurveda is not just your pills. Ayurveda is not just one part, right? It's a whole ecosystem. So it's mental balance, gut balance, it's your lifestyle, it's how you live, your yoga, how you practice. So it's, and the food that you eat, all of that, right? And then supplementation when your body needs it, right? That's how Ayurveda is designed, right? And modern science, when we take it, is only to cure certain symptoms, right? It's not going to solve your root cause of your problem, right? So that's a big gap between Ayurveda and your modern science. So we try to bridge the both, and we try to modernize Ayurveda by by doing clinical research, by formulating products that look and mimic like how your modern pills look like, right? And by getting the science right, by getting patents across the globe, right? So for the people who only understand modern science, it becomes easier for them, because then they have the similar set of documents that they look for in terms of their allopathy medicines also, right? So trying to elevate the entire Ayurvedic industry to global standards.
Wonderful, wonderful. Is other research into Ayurveda being done at other places across India, or maybe even the world, where not only they teach Ayurveda, but also they try and make Ayurveda better?
Of course. A lot of research now. When we started, there was some research happening, very little, right? Now there is, in the last, I think, 5 years, 7 years, we've seen a lot of more research, more clinical trials, more patents coming through.
Right. Because as you said earlier, I think the biggest problem with Ayurveda for you end users is it's a bit on the slow side, right? And compared to allopathy, and also a little bit weak also, you could say.
So Ayurveda is not weak at all, right? Ayurveda
in the short term.
Yes. So like I said, Ayurveda is not just looking at symptoms, right? Like let's say you have a headache, and you have a headache because of hypertension. Ayurveda is going to solve the hypertension issue and not work on the headache. Right. Which is what allopathy does. Allopathy works on that temporary numbing your nerves, certain places in your brain, so you don't feel the headache is still there, but you're just not feeling the headache. Right? That's the focus of allopathy. I'm not saying allopathy is bad. Allopathy is also an integral part of our lifestyle today, right? But Ayurveda and allopathy works on very different fundamental systems, right? While allopathy looks at solving your immediate problem, Ayurveda looks at solving a long-term problem.
Right? The deep root problem. Wonderful. So, what gave you the idea for this Essenzaa Nutrition? Like, was there something specific that sparked that, or?
So, like I said, just the larger cause, right? The larger cause to ensure that we give people a product. We give people a way to ensure that they live their life to the fullest. Right. That's the only thing. We just wanted to be that medium for the people. Right? We wanted to ensure that when they are picking a product, they are sure about the quality of the product. We wanted to ensure that they are sure about the efficacy of the product. They should be sure about where these products are being made. And that's why we invested so heavily in the clinical trials, in getting the patents done, in getting our manufacturing facility accredited by who's who of the industry. Right? The only reason is that we wanted our consumers to feel safe, feel proud when they are getting on this journey of wellness.
Tell me about the early days when you first started it. Did you have co-founders? Did you where did the funding come from, and so on?
Right. So we're not very aggressive on the growth. Right? We are yet not very aggressive on growth. Right? We want to do things slow. We want to build our structure right. We want to do things which matter to us. Right. Even when we started, we were totally bootstrapped. Right. In terms of co-founder, my dad started the company with me.
Okay.
Right. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's always been in the industries, in and out of multiple industries, whether it's steel, storage systems, whether it's IT. So various industries, BPO. So many industries, a lot of them are still running today. So he helped me form the company initially. We started the company together. My brother has joined us recently. So he's heading the entire marketing and branding right now. So it's a purely family-run business, and we are purely debt-free. We are purely self-funded.
Nice.
We are bootstrap and all of that. Right?
Wonderful. Wow. So I would imagine though that the cost would have been quite high for a manufacturing facility, right? But that's good that you could bootstrap that. In the early days, how did you start? In the sense, did you just have one product that you focused on instead of multiple, or
So in the early days, we started with the Proyurveda, which was our first set of products. Right?
Okay, so-
Predominantly because we had a US, China, and an Indian patent to start with.
Okay.
Right, and we had a beautiful concept to start with. Right, so we had the concept where we had blended probiotics with Ayurvedic herbs. Right, and with this combination, we could give something which is faster but still safe.
Okay.
Right, it was Ayurvedic but still food grade. Right, so we were in a very safe zone
Right.
in terms of the consumers. Right, and over prescription would also not harm you. Right, so we wanted to do something with that set of beautiful invention that we had created. Right, and we created about 23 products to begin with.
Wow.
Initially, and that was our first set of portfolio, which is still live today.
Nice. Now, where did the knowledge of Ayurveda come from? The expertise? Do you have it, or does
Right,
it?
so yes, I have it.
Okay.
Right.
So you studied Ayurveda.
I have studied Ayurveda.
Nice. And the research part, can you tell me a little bit about that? How does one go about researching Ayurveda and probiotics in terms of, like, do you go to a lab and mix things around? And
Sure. So when we started researching, obviously we had our own lab.
Okay, you did have your lab.
We had a co-researcher along with us called Dr. M.S. Reddy. He's based in the US today.
Okay.
He has 186 patents to his name.
Wow.
Right. So he was obviously our mentor on the whole thing. He was helping us around. Right. So we used his lab, which we rented out
Right.
in Hyderabad,
Okay.
in a region called Uppal.
Okay.
Right. So we were using that lab initially. We also did a couple of, I think our first year or two, our production also done in the lab because the scale was not so large. Right. And that's how we grew. And then when we started growing, we started building a lab closer to where our base is, which is in Valsad, in Gujarat.
Right.
Yeah. So we built our base there, and then we built a world-class manufacturing facility, got accredited, and the rest is
Nice.
history.
Nice. How about employees? In the beginning, I know you said, you and your father co-founded it, but the actual sort of manufacturing work, I guess you had to employ people from Valsad.
Of course, yes.
So how did that go? Because I'm doing a startup, and getting right employees is very, very tough. At least I find now. It's a little bit different because these are very, very expert level employees that I'm trying to get,
Sure.
programmers and all that. So, but still, I was just wondering how that went.
So I
for
can
you.
very proudly say that I think a lot of employees that we hired back then are still with us today, right? So whether there's sheer luck or the culture in the organization, it's how you treat them, how they feel in the working environment. I think it's a combination of all of those. Plus, I think tier 2 cities, it's a little, it takes a little time to get the right people, but once you get the right talent, it immediately becomes like a family with them, right? If the
I know what you
environment
mean.
sets well.
I know what you mean.
Compared to your metro cities where aspirations are higher and stability is lower.
Yes, and I've worked in the US. It's completely the opposite. There, it's very, very sort of professional sort of this thing that we aren't, forget family. We are not even friends.
Yeah,
and I myself and others also would not even try to be friends. Like we'd say no. If we are working at the same company, friendship
be friends.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I mean, obviously it varies from company to company and all of that, but still generally the culture there is more that way. So yeah, I mean, and yeah, so probably I can see that tier 2, they'd be a little more sort of family oriented.
So our attrition rate is almost nil at the factory levels.
Wow. But I'm wondering, in the beginning, did you have some like where, wrong employees got hired and then you had to let them go? Of course,
yes. That's a part of your business anywhere you do, right, globally. You hire people, sometimes you feel they're not the right fit, sometimes they will feel you're not the right fit as an organization for them, right? They may have different aspirations for them, you may have different goals for them, right? So there's always going to be misfits in the organization when you start out at a certain ideology or a certain goals, and then eventually you realize that there's no alignment between the employee and the employer, right? Which is where you have to take certain harsh calls, right? But we have been Essenzaa Nutrition as an organization has never fired anybody.
Okay.
Right? So it has always been, in case that has to happen, it has always been mutual.
Like a mutual, yeah. And what is your hiring process like? Do you go through a rigorous interview process or something like that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very standardized process. There are teams of HR, and then there is aptitude test that happens, and then there are questionnaires, and then the HODs take an interview, and then eventually it comes to us.
Wow. Yeah. So because same thing we've had to do. Anyone we hire, we go through a rigorous process. We give them an assignment and see if they can complete it, and so on and so forth. Because and that again is a kind of difference in US. The interview process isn't usually quite as rigorous there because generally people aren't dishonest, or in the sense what they put in their CV is what they are, kind of thing. So and there they look more at your past experiences, which companies you worked at and what kind of work you did, and then based on that only they hire you or not hire. So that's great. This is very useful because we are talking about or food grade level manufacturing kind of business. So viewers that are curious about that particular field, they'll get a lot of value out of this. So how about your raw materials? Now in India, I think there's issues of things like pollution and things being adulterated, particularly in the Ayurveda industry. A lot of the brands actually, what they sell is pretty adulterated from what I've heard. I don't know for sure, of course. I haven't lab tested it myself. But so what about that? Did you face challenges there?
That's always a problem. I feel that's not only to do with Ayurveda in general, but whatever industry you are in, you'll always find ingredients or your raw material or your packing material which may not come to your specification, which may be adulterated, there may be some malice in the supplier who's supplying to you. Specifically in food products, it may be closer to expiry.
Right.
Is it revalidated? So stuff like that, right? So that's why having your own in-house laboratory is very, very important. Setting up specifications for everything that you buy. So everything that we do, it's a very process-driven organization that we have, right? So everything, there is a specific SOP to things, there's a specific way things are bought, there is a specific way things are tested. If we are not sure, we send it to an external lab to be tested. So there's there's a step 1, 2, 3, 4 to everything that we do, right? Including when the purchase order goes out, there's a detailed specification along with the purchase order that goes out, including how the product should be packed when it is sent to us.
Wow, yes.
Right. So once you start, and this has not happened overnight, right? This has happened by years and years of making those mistakes and then ensuring that the next time you do it, you don't make those mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right? So improving your processes, improving your SOPs every time there is a challenge, and that's how we have evolved to what we are today, and we're still evolving.
Of course.
Right. So, like you said, adulteration and all of that. So if you have stringent processes in place, you test your ingredients right, and then you ensure that it is handled in the environment and the condition that it was handled in, then I don't think you should face any issues.
So you do test all the ingredients coming in, like a sample. Obviously, you can't test all of it, but some sample testing you do.
Yes. So there is. So we will randomly test 3 samples from every box that we get. Right. So in case we are getting 25 kgs drum and we have got 100 drums, then we'll test every 3rd drum. Right?
Okay.
And we will test it for the raw material, the actives, we'll test it for heavy metals, we'll test it for any microbial contamination in it, we will test it for its shelf life. So there are various tests that we need to do. Right? And once those tests come positive, only then it is inverted into our warehouse. Otherwise, the goods stay in limbo.
And you contact the supplier and negotiate whatever. So when you started, you said you started with 23 product group. So then how did you market yourselves?
So predominantly through doctors.
Okay.
Right? Because we wanted to take to doctors a science which is well known, but now comes with your cutting edge documentation. Right? Because earlier what we used to do is we used to give them just plain documentation or just a product. Right? Now Ayurvedic products was coming with clinical trials. Ayurvedic product was coming with patents in the US, in the China. So we're giving a lot of technical know-how on the product along with just selling them the product. So I think that was the biggest differentiator that we did.
So did you go to only Ayurvedic doctors or allopathic?
No, we went to both, because in so many situations, in so many conditions, allopathy doctors don't have any other option but to rely on Ayurvedic doctors or Ayurvedic medications, right? Specifically, if you are in pregnancy and you are talking about, let's say, piles in pregnancy, you want to be very safe, you don't want to harm the kid, but you want to treat the mother also, right? Specifically, if you're talking about lactation, during, again, early motherhood. If you're talking about piles in general, if you're talking about fatty liver, there's so many indications where Ayurveda is the only choice.
Right. You know, I personally find a combination of both to do. So, to get some of the results that allopathy provides, particularly their fast-acting sort of result, and then for the longer term deep root fix, go for Ayurveda.
Correct.
You know, one thing I was wondering about that, what are some instances where Ayurveda is very quick acting? Are there any instances of that where
your balms,
the skin?
Most of your balms are Ayurvedic in nature. A lot of them are, right? Your pain management medications.
Ayurveda has pain management. Okay.
It does.
Okay.
Right. Then you have your antacid products, which is a lot of them are Ayurvedic in nature. The largest brands are Ayurvedic in nature today. Very fast acting. Right. So a lot of indications where Ayurveda is fast acting against the popular belief that it is not.
Well, in a lot of cases it isn't also. So that's why, you know. Whereas allopathy is always pretty much fast acting. Now, here's the interesting thing about allopathy. Pretty much everything in allopathy has side effects. It gives you side effects. Whereas Ayurveda, I found that there are no side effects almost.
So Ayurveda also has side effects.
Oh, does it?
Right. So it is. It's about to do with how much are you having, when are you having, and that's about it, right? Overdosing is as harmful in Ayurveda as it is in allopathy.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm making the example of you don't overdose. If you dose within the prescribed amounts, then generally Ayurveda doesn't seem to have side effects. That's the great thing about Ayurveda. But then allopathy, it gives you the fast acting, but then there's always seems to be side effects. And then the other thing about allopathy I found also is that you have the body needs it then afterwards. Like it can't do without it. Like for example, if you're taking anti-cholesterol allopathic medication, it'll work. Your cholesterol will go down.
I think allopathy does alter your body to some extent,
Right.
wherein the dependency on those drugs becomes a habit of the body.
Right. No, what I was saying now, like for example, in the cholesterol this thing, you'll take the allopathic medicine, your cholesterol goes down. But the moment you stop taking it, boom, it goes back up, and it goes back up even higher than before. So, but that doesn't seem to happen with Ayurveda. Though at the very least,
Ayurveda works slowly, predominantly for that reason, right? So Ayurveda, like I said, it solves your problem from the root cause. So it is rebuilding your system internally to ensure that your systems are robust to handle any kind of external environment
situations.
Yes.
Got it. Now, tell me a little bit about probiotics. Now, what I know, and I'm sure what the viewers will probably know at a low fundamental level, is that they are friendly bacteria that help that live in our intestines, and then they help in digestion.
Yeah.
So, what is more about them that inspired you to do all this?
So probiotics has always been a very integral part of Ayurveda, right? If you see ancient Ayurvedic texts, you'll always see that probiotics have been a very integral part in terms of if they are making churna, they'll make churna and then give it to you with honey or with curd, or with any fermented drink, which is your kombuchas in today's world, right? Which is all very rich in probiotics. So Ayurveda was always consumed with probiotics to some extent, right?
I have a question around that. I'm taking some Ayurvedic medicine myself for certain issues, and what the doctors and multiple doctors told me is don't take curd with it because it's astringent.
Yeah.
So, but then that seems to contradict what you're saying about probiotics, because curd is probiotics and I'm not taking that. So,
so see, there are very specific grades of probiotics that could go along with all the medications, right? So that's what our initial research was, right? Which indication and which probiotic, right, should go along. Now, if you see your forest, which is your early playground for all the Ayurvedic doctors, right? Which is where most of their herbs were coming from, all the jadi booties were coming from, right? All the medicinal plants were coming from, right? Now, if you go back 5,000 years old and try and understand that science, you will realize that all the plants that were growing in the forest had a layer of probiotics on them, right? So they are already rich in probiotics. These probiotics were helping the forest produce to protect them against the harmful UV rays, against bacterial invasions on the plants, right? So when the Veds or the doctors were taking these plants and then crushing them manually, the probiotics were there as a part of your Ayurvedic medications. So that's what kind of excited us. That is what kind of pushed us to make this weird combination of Ayurveda and probiotics and see how it goes.
So I had a question about probiotics that are sold as supplements, particularly say in the US, which doesn't have a Ayurvedic knowledge or component. What they do there is they sell these probiotic capsules, and they have various strains of various friendly bacteria, and then you just take them. So what do you think about those kind of supplements?
As far as they're manufactured in a decent facility.
Yeah, I mean, assuming they're clean and all that.
Correct.
I mean, is it good to take those?
It's good to take.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's not that we are doing the probiotics that we make are extremely different from what everybody else is making. That's a similar strain of probiotics, right? But it depends on probiotics. Now there's billions of probiotics. Now which probiotic you're consuming for what is what science is wondering right now, right? Earlier, 15, 20, 30 years back, we only knew that probiotics help you in gut health, right? Now, researchers are finding that probiotics also help you with Alzheimer's. They also may help you with sleep. They also may help you with cholesterol. So, they also may help you with weight management. So, there are new studies that are coming up.
So is that the difference between you and say just taking some generic
So we are not
probiotic supplement?
when we sell Proyurveda, we are not just selling probiotics. We are selling probiotics which are blended with Ayurvedic herbs.
And they blended, like specific strains of probiotics are blended,
Yes.
and to make sure it works in synergy.
So the whole idea of Proyurveda is, one is to increase the efficacy of your herbs, right? Second is to ensure that all your doshas are kind of balanced to whatever extent we can balance them with just an external supplement. So that's the whole idea here, right? So what we're doing is we are giving them probiotics which manages your gut health, right? Once your gut health is decent enough, your absorption of your nutrients will go higher. When your absorption of nutrients will go higher, you'll get more nutrition from your food, but you'll also get more absorption from the supplements or the medications that you're taking, right? So the products tend to give faster results.
Okay, right. Got it. So tell me a little bit about how you got patents.
There's like you said, it's very technical. A lot of documentation, submissions, going against the scientific panel, and then doing rebuttals to their questionnaires and all of that. So patent is it takes a lot of time. Of course, it takes a lot of money or a lot of your resources. Luckily, we had Dr. M.S. Reddy, whom I mentioned to you.
So he knew,
He's multiple patent holder already. So he knew how to go about it, and that kind of eased the process for us.
How much time did each patent take at average? Like a year maybe, or?
No, this takes more than 5 years at least.
One patent is 5 years. And how many patents does Essenzaa have?
So we have about 5 patents.
Okay. So in the beginning, if I may ask, how many customers did you have? How much sales?
So we were only talking to doctors initially, right? So as on today, as an organization, we have about 5 million consumers with us, right? And 5,000 plus doctors who work with us. 23 plus countries where we are present, and about 350 odd products.
So do you sell directly to the end user nowadays, or?
So we have different channels for different products. So we have 3 brands. One is called Proyurveda, which goes directly to the doctors. Then we have the Tiny Secret, which is your classic D2C, which goes directly to your consumers. And then we recently launched a new company called Bri Matcha. So Bri Matcha is again D2C.
How do you market and sell to foreign end users?
So foreign end users, we usually rely on an importer or a distributor in the said country. So if I want to go to US, we will not go to US directly. That's been a fundamental policy here at Essenzaa Nutrition, that any market that we want to go to, we will go with a partner in the local market, somebody who understands the people, understands how they think, understands what they like, understands what are the problems that they are facing, right? And try and custom make products for those markets. We are like I said, we are not here to sell a product. We are here to solve a problem, right? So we will ensure what is the problem. Let's say we are in America, we'll see what are common problems that the Americans have, and then custom make products for their usage, for their personality or body type, and see what gives you results there. So we'll custom make a product only for the America, and then we'll send it to you. Because Essenzaa also does the manufacturing, we have that flexibility to do as many SKUs as required by the brand.
Wonderful. I don't often speak to manufacturing type people, but so let me ask a little bit about the manufacturing process. How automated is it?
It's very automated now. So you see, classic Ayurvedic manufacturing happened very traditionally. So there were literally pestle mortars, and then there were big vessels where your heating happened and all of that. Now it's all fully automated. So now there are boiler chambers, and then there are pipelines. So the extraction happens almost automatically, and then there is blending, drying, testing the product in between. Then there is, if you're filling capsules, then capsule filling, or capsule polishing, packing, which is almost fully automated. So there is very little manual intervention in the whole process.
Where did you get this manufacturing equipment?
Most of our equipments are local.
Really?
Yes, India has. So what we've done is, when we started our first Ayurveda plant, or when we put up our Nutra plant, any of the manufacturing facility that we've done, we have strongly relied on Indian partners, and we have only focused on people who work for the pharmaceutical industry, right? Because that was our end goal, right? Not to be a pharma company, but to function like a pharma company in the Ayurveda and Nutra space, right? So our ideology has always been that. So our processes are also designed by people who do the pharma guidelines and the pharma SOPs, right?
No, but what I'm very impressed to hear is that India manufactures those kind of.
Correct. India is one of the largest pharmaceutical manufacturing hub in the world.
Yes, I knew that, but that is for the tablets and all that. But,
correct. So
but I
that's
didn't
why
know about the equipment.
That's why the ancillary industries are also
Good.
very, very well developed
Okay.
here in India, right?
Right.
So we have either it is our own tech, our as in Indian manufacturers who have their own tech in terms of the machineries, or they have done a joint venture with a larger German brand or a French brand, and they've brought that tech to India and manufacturing it locally, right? Or the foreign company has come and invested in India and set up.
So the foreign presence is there as well, in a ways. So, is there anything you had to get from abroad only that it just wasn't available?
Only ingredients, nothing in the manufacturing side.
Could I ask what are some of the ingredients that aren't local?
So if you're
India?
talking about protein, your whey protein comes not from India.
Oh, okay.
It's
the
all
powder.
the powder of the whey protein, right?
Yeah,
which is purely imported in India.
I know a little bit of proteins, as I said in the beginning. So, what I myself only take the isolate.
Yeah.
I never have the concentrate anymore.
Sure.
So, what's your thought on that?
We have only launched the isolate in our brand.
Isolate only, right?
Yes.
Because that's
we
the
call
most...
it lean protein,
Huh.
and it's just 3 or 4 ingredients. One is we have some digestive enzymes, natural of course, from papaya, so which is papain, right? So we have natural digestive enzymes. We have whey protein isolate. We have a little bit of cocoa powder, a little bit of coffee in it for the flavor, and probiotics.
Yeah.
That's about it. So that we have no preservatives, no excipients, no fillers, nothing. It's just a very, very pure form of high quality, high grade protein.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know because I generally always get imported protein for the reason that I want this thing. But then since you're importing it, then it works out. But isn't it expensive, I suppose, to import?
But India doesn't manufacture its own protein. So protein in terms of formulations are there. So we are in classical language, in very scientific terms, we are a formulation manufacturer. Meaning we will not manufacture the ingredients, we will not manufacture the packing material. We will only process the ingredients to make an end product and then package it well and then give it to the consumers, right?
But there's so many Indian brand protein powders. Are they also importing them?
So there are only 2 companies in India who does the protein manufacturing, which are both milk companies. Right, because protein is classically, your whey protein is classically a milk product, right? So there's only one which is largest, which was Amul, was doing it, and then there is a new brand which is called Govardhan. Now they have a brand called Avatar.
What about all this Optimum or whatever the?
So everybody else uses protein which is imported.
Okay. I thought it was made in like the powder itself was made in India.
No, unfortunately, no. Predominantly, another reason being that your consumption of cheese has to be higher than your consumption of milk for whey protein to become economical in India.
And that's not the case.
Yeah, so that's why most of your proteins come from Canada or comes from Europe or US.
Okay.
Right, because the consumption of cheese is way higher than the consumption of milk. And when you process milk to cheese, which is your curdling process, you get a waste liquid, which is your whey. Which is classically also happens when we manufacture paneer at home.
Right. Okay. So when Amul manufactures paneer, they get whey as a side.
Correct. So anybody who does, even at your home, if your mom or we are making paneer at home, you make paneer, the liquid that you get at the bottom, that's your whey.
Right. So now I had another question. What are all the certifications required? And I don't mean you to list them all, but just give us an idea on the certificate required to sell to the end user in India. And I know for sure America and Europe will be very, very strict and very involved.
As a matter of fact, even in the US and even in India, you only need one local license to manufacture supplements.
Okay.
That's FSSAI in India and FDA in the US.
So you have to get the FDA approval.
In the US, yes.
But isn't that very...
So for American companies, it is equivalent to what FSSAI in India is.
Huh.
It's not very challenging, not very difficult.
It's not.
For American companies.
Okay.
Right? For an Indian company to get US FDA is very, very challenging.
But you had to do that.
We had to do it.
How long did that take?
So it takes, minimum is 3 years for you to prep. The processes and there are guidelines. Even when you have to get WHO GMP, minimum 3 years is, if your plant is less than 3 years old, they will not even come and audit your plant.
So they came and audited your plant?
Yes.
Wow. So Americans came?
Correct.
And you had to pay for all of that?
Yes, you have to. That's a part of the fee structure.
Wow.
Right. So in terms of setting up a plant is one, getting accredited is two, because accreditations happen not only on your infrastructure, but also on your people, also on your policies, also on your systems.
Right.
Right. So only when everything is thorough, is followed to the dot, you get an accreditation, whether it's GMP or FDA.
See, this is why I never got into the food industry, because I knew I didn't know anything.
So there are plenty of contract manufacturers. If anybody wants to launch a brand, Essenzaa Nutrition also does contract manufacturing.
Okay.
We do for a lot of leading brands in India today, right? We also do it for global brands across the world. So we can always chip in, manufacture the product on your label for you to sell.
And the accreditation comes along with it.
It
So
comes
I
along
don't
with
need
the
to get
plant.
it.
Yeah.
I don't need to get it because I'm using
Correct.
it. Okay.
Correct. So
So
it
that-
will be marketed by so and so and manufactured by Essenzaa Nutrition. That's about it.
Okay.
You'll see, if you see most of the labels that you see of most of the brands that you see today, manufacturer will be somebody else.
So you had, but you say you're in 23 countries, so you had to get this FDA equivalent in 23 countries?
Yeah, so every country has their own guidelines. So somewhere there is MOH approvals, so certain places there is FDA approval, certain places there is health approval. As if you go to Canada, there is Health Canada. So every country will have a different department, right, to monitor their health supplements. So you have to get approvals from those authorities.
Was there ever a country that, I mean, obviously European Union, it's just one thing. But if, like, let's say you have the American FDA, so this country is like, well, you have American FDA, so you don't need to.
Yeah, there are countries like that.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So,
But however, you have to still do the documentation work.
right.
So they'll say we will not come for an audit because we trust US FDA, they've done an audit, right? So we will not come for an audit. But however, you supply us with all the documentations that we need to register your product in our country.
Wow. So how do you market in other countries? So India, you went to the doctors and all that. America or Europe, what did you do?
So
Same
Europe, we
thing?
are not there.
Okay.
Yeah, US, we are there. US, we are a classic D2C brand. So
Okay, D2C.
We sell on Amazon and we sell online and all of that.
Okay.
Middle East, we go through doctors a lot. Right. Africa, it's a combination, retail and this. Southeast Asia, again, it's a combination. Some places we are D2C, some places we are retail only, some places we go through doctors. So it's a
Why America only D2C and no doctors? Just out of curiosity.
Classically, in America, your prescription business is very tedious to get into. One is doctors may or may not prescribe a health supplement. That is one. A lot of doctors, I think America is one such country where the pharmacist decides the brand and the doctors prescribe the generic drug. So the doctors will write, I want you to take so-and-so probiotics.
Oh.
Right? And the pharmacist will decide which probiotics to give.
Which brand ka probiotic to give? I mean, he'll give that probiotic only, but
Correct.
out of one
Different brands. So he will take that end
choose.
call. Right?
And generally, they'll do based on their economics and their company policies.
Correct. So then you have to manage two people. One is you have to educate the doctor about your product and the ingredients, which doesn't work really well if you have a novel formulation which has herbs that they don't understand. Right? Consumers, luckily in the US, are very
Yes.
well read.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's easier for me to directly go to the consumer rather than go via the.
You don't have to
channel.
explain them what a probiotic is or this is or that is. They know it all. Like I'm a perfect example of one of those. But So all the products you sell don't require a doctor's prescription, right? Because in America, that's a big thing.
None of them need.
Yeah. In America, that's a big thing. If something requires a doctor's prescription, then you'll never get it at a pharmacist. Whereas here, if the pharmacist knows you, he'll just let you have it.
Yeah. Also in India, it's not legal for you to get a product from the pharmacy without a doctor's prescription, which is a scheduled prescription drug only. Right. So India also has those guidelines. May or may not be followed in certain
cases. But they're the point I was making, they're very, very strictly followed. If it's a prescription only drug, then you will just not get it via the pharmacist, and that's all there is to it. Interesting. So basically you had to formulate your marketing to the country and the various issues involved. How about digital marketing, social media marketing, things like Facebook, Insta?
So we are picking up on those. We are a little digital poor, not very experts at what we do in terms of the digital world. We are picking up that now. So if you see our socials of the Tiny Secret and the socials of Brie Matcha, you will see how we have evolved as a brand over the years.
Yes. I did see a little bit the Brie Matcha and some actress and all that. So wonderful. Well, tell me a little bit about your own routine as someone who knows Ayurveda. What is your health regimen like? Do you what supplements do you take? What do you do?
Routine is very simple. It's you wake up in the morning, have a little bit of hot water. That's the first thing I have. You go about your routine, a little bit of workout. So I work out for about an hour every day. Nothing too rigorous, just walking, stretching, little bit of weights. Because development of muscles is very important. So either you do that. Some days when I'm not going to the gym, I'm doing yoga, right? And then meditation is an important part. So meditation is something that I thoroughly do. It's not very long. It's just 15 minutes of getting into that zone before you go to work, right? Supplements, protein is something that I consume, not daily, but only the days that I work out. And we consume our lean protein. Helps you build that muscle for the long term, right? Second is your multivitamins, right? B complex, your probiotics, right? These are certain supplements that I go to daily, and my calcium, of course. We have a product called Milk Calcium. It's again wonderful product. It's one of a kind, only one globally probably. It is calcium derived from natural cow milk.
Okay.
Right? So if you see any calcium in the market today, they are calcium salts, right? Or calcium carbonate, calcium citrate, calcium malate, you name it. They are mostly synthetic, or they are calcium carbonate, which is your natural minerals, right? Most of them cause kidney stones, GI stones, even atherosclerosis in worst cases, which is it jams your heart. Right? What we've invented is calcium from natural cow milk. So we just take cow's milk, right? And about 1 liter of milk, which is 1000 ml of milk, will give us 1 gram of just the calcium from the milk. So we kind of take an extract of the cow's milk and we make it into small palatable tablets, right, which is full of calcium.
So the milk is from Indian dairy.
Yes.
What do you feel about vegetarianism versus non-vegetarian in the world of Ayurveda? I believe Ayurveda is against meat eating for the most part, right?
And so am I. So we are pure vegetarians like that. So born and brought up in a vegetarian family, and always been away from any animal abuse from that point of view.
So no eggs also?
No eggs. No eggs in breads, no eggs in cakes also. Yeah. So
Nice. What do you feel about, this is something specific to India more than any other country, diabetes. I think because sugar consumption is so high. So what do you feel about that? Is there anything in Ayurveda that helps with that?
We have a product that helps you with diabetes. It helps you manage diabetes. So we don't, we request all our consumers or patients to take it when they are consulting a diabetologist, right, or their GP in general, right? Because diabetes is a very tricky problem to have, right? It needs a lot of lifestyle changes. Just go on its own, right? But I believe Ayurveda has the power to solve diabetes, right? And
So
India
this,
is becoming the global leader in diabetes.
right, I think it is. I mean, the most diabetes per population is India. But what I was asking more was like, let's say I don't have diabetes, but I take your diabetic supplement. So is there any harm in that?
There's no harm in it. It will help you specifically if you're pre-diabetes. It will help
Yeah.
you even more.
Okay.
If you're non-diabetic, also it helps you break down your sugar.
So that you don't later on get diabetes. Okay, so that's a good one to this thing. There's a lot of diabetes in my family, so
Yeah,
I
and
think
diabetes could be hereditary.
it certainly seems to be. So, what is the future for Essenzaa now, if I may ask? Do you plan to just keep expanding more products?
Yeah, absolutely. So Essenzaa has already become a house of brands, right? We have 3 brands under our umbrella, which is Proyurveda, The Tiny Secret, and Dream Matcha. And we plan on introducing more health-focused brands, more sustainable brands under the basket, and then keep growing.
Tiny Secret, I think you said was D2C, but what are the actual things in that?
So Tiny Secret has your entire Tiny Secret as a brand was designed to please your younger audience, right? It was designed to be effective while be fun, while be easy, acceptable, easily palatable, all of that, right? So it's just convenience with health is what we say in terms of the Tiny Secret. So we have for probiotics, right? Rather than your regular pills or a powder, we have chewable mints, right?
Which is good for children.
Which is good for adults as well.
No, I mean children in the sense they'll take it as
correct. So these are nicely flavored. So
right.
Natural flavors, nothing synthetic, nothing artificial in it. Naturally sweetened, right? So it tastes good. It gives you that fresh feel in your mouth also, right? And it helps your gut also.
Do you plan to incorporate in the future maybe other natural remedy styles, for example, Unani, naturopathy,
Right. So
and stuff
I'm
like that?
not very sure about it. We have not thought on those directions. But there are, so Ayush, which is your Ayurveda in India is monitored by an agency called Ayush, which is your Ayush FDA, which is your Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, naturopathy, homeopathy, all of that. Right? It's a combination. So it all comes under the same stream any which ways. So the licensing is the same.
Was there any incident in your journey in this Essenzaa Nutrition that stands out that the viewers would like to hear about, you think, or get benefit from? Any particular incident, memorable one, something?
I think the most recent one, the launch of Dream Matcha, has been really memorable for us. We launched this company with Sania Malhotra, who's a prominent Bollywood celebrity. And it's been a roller coaster of a ride. From finding the right source of matcha, which only comes from Japan, only grows in the volcanic soil, has a very tedious process. It's very unique. 15 kilometers of distance and 5 minutes of process difference will change the texture, the color, and the taste of the product. So it's a very tedious product.
What exactly is matcha again? I think it's a type of tea, right?
Matcha comes from the plant called Camellia sinensis. It's a type of green tea.
Right.
Very, very potent. About 100x plus more antioxidants than your usual green tea.
Really?
Right. It is authentically, it is a Japanese green tea in very layman terms, right? And very, very healthy.
And I think green tea helps promote weight loss a little bit also.
So a lot of things, right? Green tea in general has a lot of EGCGs, has your caffeine, has L-theanine. So caffeine gives you energy in your body, L-theanine gives you calmness in your mind, right? So it gives you the energy without the jitters, right? So plenty of things around matcha, right? Plus the antioxidants and EGCGs and your other health benefits that it brings.
Okay.
Right. It's just fantastic drink to have, and it's very versatile. You can have it with whatever you want.
like with lunch, dinner, whatever, anytime, anywhere.
So anytime is one. Plus, you can have it however you want: almond milk, you want oat milk, you want regular milk, you want just plain, you want
Make
milk
a shake.
water, you want to add tonic water, you want to add ginger ale to it.
Add protein.
Add protein, probably, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we have. I think we are launching a matcha protein soon.
Nice. So, as we are getting close to running out of time, is there any final advice you'd give to any of our viewers who are trying to start their own startup or are thinking about doing a startup? Any advice?
I think for people who are thinking of entrepreneurial journey, kudos to you, right? Because you have already thought what most of the people can't think of, right? So if you've built your guts, right, then don't chase noise, right? I think you should focus on creating an impact, right? Also, don't falsely create a problem and try and solve it, right? Because if you keep on overthinking and create a problem, you'll not create a product which is sustainable in the long run, right? So I think I would like to say that there's a lot of failures that will come to your path, right? Be very, very sure that you have your support systems with you, people who help you, motivate you, people who guide you. If you have access, find a reliable mentor, right? Because a mentor will take you long and far and very fast, right? So you need a good mentor in your life. There are a lot of support groups in terms of smarter your WhatsApp groups, and then there are Facebook communities, and there are on-ground communities where a lot of startup founders come together and they discuss their problems. So probably find people who can help you in your journey, right? And I think just go about it. Don't overthink.
Right. Wonderful. Well, that was wonderful speaking to you, Dr. Kunal. Thank you very much for joining us. And Dr. Kunal's information and Essenzaa Nutrition will be in the description below. Links to all of that will be there. Please make posts and comments to this, and let's have a lively discussion around all of this. And I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you.